Well, the kids are obsessed with YouTube and they want me to become a YouTuber, so I said, what the hell? I got some things going for me and I got some things that aren't going for me. Lack of personality is going to result in poor narration, so there's that. That's a big con. But I do a lot of quirky, interesting things, and I thought it'd be a good idea to chronicle them while I'm still alive, because after my dad died, I realized we had like 20 good pictures of him, 83 years, and I don't know. You got to be ready for these things. Hopefully there's a little more evidence of my existence than that. So here's my brisket, because everybody loves a good brisket. So right now it's 10:30 a.m. in Florida, February 23rd. It's already 85 degrees, so we're really roughing it here. There's my little guy and Maggie, and there's a 20-year-old Yukon that's in perfect shape, because that's how Florida works. And there's the official state car of Florida, a 2011 Lincoln Town Car. So we're all set. So here's what we got. This is a 17-pound brisket. Cost me 55 bucks at Sam's Club. Nothing special. We're going to trim that thing up a little bit. Mustard, spices, that's just salt and pepper, some garlic. I got a mop on the go here. It's got some, you know, soy and butter and beer and all that nonsense. I don't put anything sugary in the mop. I don't put any barbecue sauce or anything in there, because you end up blackening things over time. So I would stay away from the sugar on the mop. So we're going to spice it. We're going to put it in that tray. So you're going to rub the mustard all over it, spice it up. Don't worry about all the concrete on the table. It's fine. Everything I have's got concrete on it. So I got my charcoal. I'm using hardwood. And there's our $150 barbecue that I got on Amazon. And I'll tell you what, I've built barbecues. I've spent a fortune on trying to create all kinds of things, and barrel smokers and everything else. And this thing in Florida is about the best thing I got, because I think the reason is because it's so hot here that you just need a little bit of fuel. I don't know if you can see that. I got a little pile about the size of a grapefruit of hardwood charcoal, and I literally have to refuel that like every hour because it's so hot outside. So right now we're perfect, 250 degrees. See, at home when it's freezing cold outside, you're just loading the fuel to keep your temperature up. And I think what happens is you end up with so much creosote and stuff that your meat tastes like shit after. So I think the key is to be smoking, but to use a minimal amount of fuel and have a really clean smoke. So this has been sitting for like an hour, and you can see that. I mean, you can't even see the smoke. So next time is going to be, we're going to be looking at it on the grill. So I got to get to work. So I figure this thing's going to take about 15 hours, so it's going to be a late night. But I don't even like these things anymore. I'm so sick of cooking them. They make me sick. But the kids love them, and the wife loves them, and everybody loves them, so that's fine. Okay, so we're about an hour in. I'll pop the lid and you can take a look at what's going on. Got a little clean burning fire going. We got a little water pan under there, and there's this giant chunk of meat. So as you can see, it's going to be a while. I would say in about 6 or 8 hours, this whole neighborhood is going to smell like brisket. So that'll be interesting. And there's my two dogs, and they're obviously aware of what's up. So it's going to be a long day for them as well. So we're running at, well, it was at whatever, 250, 270. I don't think it really matters. And this is not a how-to video. This is just like, you want to watch that stuff, there's a million of those videos. I got a few little tips and tricks that I have found that I like, and that's all I'm going to talk about. So one of them is, I don't think you can really put too much spice on these things because they're so massive. A buddy of mine, Mike Baring, kind of told me that when he was doing them, and I agree, because you got, 18-pound piece of meat, and by the time you cut it all up and do your thing with it, I mean, how much spice do you really taste? I think the big thing is just taking your time with it, I think the mopping helps. So, but just taking your time with it and not letting your fire go out, that's a big one. You know, you want to not forget about it and have to restart all the time. And just kind of maintain a temperature between 250 and 300 and just take your time. You know, this big guy like that's going to take a long time. So we'll check back in an hour or two and see how it's going. Alright, so we're about 3 hours into this thing. Let's take a look and see what's going on. Yeah, it's starting to get a little dry. It's shrinking a little bit, so I'm going to give it a drink. Anyway, you get the idea. You can't work with two hands. One hand, left hand, so I'm going to speed things up. This thing's a monster. This thing's a monster. Anyway, you get the idea. We got a little bit of work to do here. And our little fire is doing fine. And we're going to check back in a while, and we got another little surprise that we're brewing. We're going to do some sous vide today as well. So I'm going to do some chicken breasts because this brisket can get boring after a while. So multitasking today. Alright, let's see how things are doing. It's been about 7 hours. Temperature's fine. And this thing is coming along. Looking good. As you can see, the crust builds up. The mop just kind of layers up and you end up with that, you know, that lovely crust that everybody loves. It's not my thing, but it's pretty cool. Got a little fire going. So also have something else on the go, so I'm going to close that for now. It's got a long way to go. It's 6 o'clock. Oh my goodness, it's going to be a long night. Okay. Over here, this is the sous vide stuff I was talking about. So I got some chicken breasts, and those are the, you know, steroid-fed special. So hopefully some of that'll be in the meat for me because my testosterone's feeling a little low right now. So you spice them up the way you want them. You put them in those bags. I use what they call the water displacement method, but basically I just use like a square tub of water. I put the breasts in the bag, push the bag into the water, have a square, you know, like a flat edge there, seal the bag up, get all the air out of it. And here's what you do. The magic part is you drop it in that bucket. I got that thing set for 140, so in 20 minutes that'll be 140, and that is a sous vide, you know, cooker thing. Now, a few years ago they were hard to find, but they're everywhere now. I highly recommend that you get one of those. They're like $100 at Target now or whatever. So the nice thing about it is I could be cooking 3 or 4 different types of breasts here with all different spicing on them. And obviously if they're in separate bags, they don't come into contact with each other, and you can, you know, get different flavor. So, and you can put multiple pieces in one bag. So I'm just going to do 3 bags here. And there's a really good online kind of book or PDF, website, whatever you want to call it, called Douglas Baldwin Sous Vide Cooking. If you ever Google that, everything you need to know is there. It'll tell you you know, the type of meat you're going to use, the temperature you want to run at, how long you got to do it. So, you know, just go there, do this. This is amazing. These chicken breasts will be the best chicken breasts you've ever seen. I mean, you lose no mass. They stay super, they're just unbelievable, like tender. I can't say enough good thing about this method of cooking for certain things. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put those guys in there at 140 degrees for 3.5 hours, and then they'll be done. And we're going to check back in a little while. Alright, so far so good. And this is what it looks like at sunset out here. It's the best time of day to be out here. There's no wind. It's cooled down a bit. It's my basketball hoop that I built 10 years ago. Hurricane proof apparently. Irma came through here and wiped out everything, but that thing stood, of course. So Pretty happy about that. That tree just lost all its leaves, and now it's growing new ones like a week later, so I guess that's how it works here. So there's some kind of thing going on with the trees, certain ones anyways. So next time I come out here, it's going to be dark. Alright, let's see how this chicken turned out. 4 hours at 140 degrees, and you can see what it's kind of weird looking stuff, right? But it hasn't lost any mass. It's completely cooked. They're really gross when they first come out. You have to finish them somehow. Grill them, or I mean, you can pan fry them. There's all kinds of things you can do. I like to cut them like this into these little medallions. They look like little steaks almost, and these are delicious. We throw them in a bag, you freeze them, pan fry them later in some butter whenever you want. And I mean, you can kind of see that's chicken breast. Look at it, it's like a, I don't know what you like. Look at that, you know, isn't that something? That's chicken breast. 4 hours. I mean, good luck. Any other method, forget it. So, chicken, sous vide. You'll never go back. So these will be interesting. Okay, let's see what we got. We're 15 hours into this thing. It's about what I thought it would be. The foil is on there in order to get past what they call the stall. And that's basically when your temperature sits at about 170 for a long time and you can't get it up. So you know, take it out, wrap it in foil, and lay the heat to it, and then you'll get that extra 20 or 30 degrees that you're looking for. If you don't do that, you dry out your crust too much because you're getting too much smoke on it. So this thing had about 8 hours of smoke on it. And then, I don't know, another 6 hours in the foil. So we're putting that in. And that goes in like butter, right? And that's when you know you're done. Like, you don't even need to really check your temp, but this thing's been sitting for about an hour on the table here. I know you can put them in coolers. There's all kinds of things you're supposed to do, but I don't have time for that. So this thing's been sitting for about an hour. You know, this goes in like, you can see it just goes in like butter. And that's a, you know, that's a tough piece of meat. So 195, I think it was around 200, 205 at its peak. So it's cooling off. And let's see what we got here. There you go. So it's let's see if I can get it going here. It feels good. It's nice and floppy, and that's what you're looking for. You know, look at this. Look, it's like a, if it's done right, I don't know if you can see that. It's like a piece of Jello. Look at that. That's like Jello. You know, and you got a crust on there. That's just a nice, it's done well. That's a nice piece of meat. That's the fat layer on top, but you know, you can even see, you can look at that, you can just see it wanting to come apart, right? That's the toughest part of the brisket as well, and that's how easy it's coming apart. So I would say that for a Canadian, it's not bad in Florida. So let's take a look and see what we got. Just gonna cut it, you know, kind of cross grain it here. And we can take a look and see what we got there. I'd say that looks pretty good to me. You can see that steaming, you know. So I'm gonna take this thing and cut it in like just 4 pieces, basically. Just gonna put that bad boy, they're gonna put them in Ziploc bags, put them in the freezer, and we're gonna eat them over a period of a couple of weeks as a family. And what I do is I just slice it, you know, throw it in the crock pot. I love it with gravy. I mean, look at that, right? 16 hours. So, I mean, when it's breaking apart like that, You can imagine, right? So, messy job. Turned out nice. You got your crust on there. I don't use any sugar anywhere anymore, so the crust is actually edible. If you use a lot of sugar, whether it's, you know, brown sugar, something, stuff like that, or even barbecue sauces and things, I think that the crust ends up it's like burnt caramel. That's what it tastes like, and that's what it feels like. So the crust here is good. You know, the you know, there you go. And that's done right. And I would say right now it probably weighs about 12 pounds. So there's lots for everybody. And we're gonna break that thing down and call it a day because I want to go back to sleep.